Firstly, well done. I would like to thank the sponsors of today's event for nurturing our students with real-world topics. And this is true reality training. My name is Dr. Dominic Szambowski. I'm the Dean here at SHMS. I'm a newbie to this wonderful school, arriving only last month from Australia. Now, the topic that I was originally asked to address by the students was a curt, is hospitality dead? I consulted with Professor Perry Hobson from the Journal of Tourism Marketing, and he said to me, these thoughts, no doubt, are at the forefront of your students' lives as they plan for their futures, but it's an often asked question from the industry also. The topic was actually rephrased at a later stage into a much more positive light. It became, why hospitality is not dead. And if it is dead, and I'm not saying that it is, if it was dead, well, let's just ask, who actually killed it? Let's have a look at the usual suspects and analyze the facts. There are three likely suspects. Suspect number one is the traditional mindset. The second alleged killer, new technology. Plus, like any good murder mystery, the third suspect in the killing of hospitality, and this is one that only entered the fray lately, is of course the famous COVID-19 pandemic. But let's start with suspect number one, the traditional mindset. Let's go to Cornell University, the #1 hospitality college in the world, after SHMS that is, and we'll go to the famous professor, Kathy Entz, who agrees that traditional hospitality is, well, just too traditional. She says that people might not want to hear this, but she says, I think there are a lot of things that we do in the industry that are artifacts of another time. Now, while tradition is a wonderful thing in some instances, I think that holding too tightly to it will mean that hotels miss the opportunity to rethink how things are done. After all, this is where the innovation starts. So she is saying that too many hotel operations seem like museums and are stuck in the past. Plus, hotel brands tend to bland up and homogenize their industry standards. And so the traditional mindset could have killed hospitality. When I look at some members of the hospitality education fraternity, they're still teaching what was taught 20 years ago. Now, this is fine as a foundation, but not as a whole qualification. Let's get to industry anyway. Holiday Inn, founded in 1950, became the industry standard. Global operating procedures took over the mindset of our industry. All the rooms looked the same. The interiors, some were boring. They were definitely identical. Could you really tell where you were? Can you actually identify a hotel chain by the product? If you look at the beds in front of you or behind me right now, in clockwise, that's Sheraton, then Hyatt and Marriott. Now, this was all very interesting to me. I was very lucky to take my PhD, and during that study, I got to sit down for a couple of hours and explore with some busy general managers of five-star hotels in Sydney, Singapore, Beijing, Montreal, and London. After about 20 minutes of talking to these busy people, they really got into it. Later on, I went back to check their perceptions, and what we were talking about here was, what is the essence or the heart of hotelieri? They agreed with me to a certain extent that hotels were these culturally desensitized zones where guests were assuaged and pleased, no matter where they came from, as long as they could pay the bill and have privacy. We had these big hotel doors and gates that were a buffer from the outside world. But once you passed through those doors, everything was the same, or sama-sama, as the Malaysians say. So in that report, I wrote about how hotel lobbies were this generic international zone where you can order an expensive Danish lager in English, while a Filipino band sings New York, New York to an assembled mini United Nations of well-dressed clientele. They're sunk into their sofas, dotted around the foyer. You can tip in US dollars, you can tip in euros, as well as the local currency, but it's just this insulated, same harmony. Now, with this tradition, then we had lookalike hotels with consistent service delivery, no surprises. It was boring, and to the outsiders, some outsiders, it was ripe for the picking. When you think about it, earlier today we heard a bit from Michael Ross, the co-founder and CEO of Bidroom. His enterprise is challenging tradition. It's tweaked and improved it by not accepting the norm. Now, this is why we do hospitality education. I know that SHMS students here today are taught to think outside of the proverbial box, and this event that has been human contact for many years proves that. But what we found with Airbnb was that many customers actually wanted unique rooms, unique places to stay, and to be connected a bit more to the local community. People had, for example, I can show you a picture of people want to stay in caravans. They want to stay in Airstreams, but they want something a little bit different. And Airbnb did that by ruffling the feathers of tradition. Now, we're kind of moving into suspect number 2, new technology. Now, Brian Chesky, one of Airbnb's founders, once boastfully, I think, tweeted, "Marriott wants to add 30,000 rooms next year. We'll do that next week." Now, I know this is an organization with its detractors in some circles that push up rental prices, invade neighborhoods and things like that. But clearly, there was a market there. People are curious creatures, and they want to explore and discover places and new experiences. But what Brian Chesky had found out was that the pace of change was shocking to many in hospitality, and he couldn't believe the success that had actually happened. Let's have a look at the pace of growth when you get it right for the customer in today's world. Now, in this diagram, arrow 1 is the steam engine, 1712. Arrow 2, the telephone in 1876. Arrow 3, I can remember this, the man on the moon, 1969. But here, suddenly, it goes into the accelerator. Arrow 4 starts in 1971 with the microprocessor, the word processor, the Apple Mac in 1984, hybrid cars in the 90s, Google in 98, Facebook 2004, 3D chips, etc., etc. For me, the shocker, and I'm not sure that Brian Chesky or anyone around him for this matter could imagine that after this disruption was created, this pace of growth was exponential. So 4 years on, Airbnb had 650,000 rooms in 192 countries. Comparably at that juncture, Hilton had 610,000 rooms with around half the countries, 88 countries, but it had taken Hilton 93 years to get to that stage. So thinking out of the box, disruption, these are well-hackneyed sort of managerial terms that we hear in the classroom, but now it's very interesting. Eventually, though, the industry does kind of correct itself. If we look at Hilton, Hilton now has 18 brands within its portfolio: luxury, upscale, mid-scale. We've got the Waldorf Astoria, 32 hotels down to the Curio collection, which appeals to a boutique sort of hotel crowd. And then there's True by Hilton, where our students will stay, 116 properties appealing to cost-conscious generation, millennium, and folk like that. So we're still seeing what killed hospitality, and we're kind of on the technology theme. But let me ask, did technology actually kill banking? What actually did kill banking? Was it the ATM? Was it when we started to PayWave? Was it the online banking? Well, it's a multiple choice test. The answer is none of them, because banking's not dead. It's been disrupted. It's changed, but it's not dead. If we have a look, did new technology kill photography? It's not dead. In fact, it's more alive than ever. Therefore, technology will not kill hospitality. However, the inability of some players in the industry to adapt to technology, now that'll kill you. And to our students here listening in, your inability to come to grips with technology, that will kill your career. So we've got to be smart. When we talk about smart, that's a word we hear a lot today, and it's all about interconnected smart. You know, there's cities like Prague that want by 2030 to have a data-controlled, tourist-friendly smart tourism to better integrate the information structure that's in front of them. That means that when you go out and about, you'll have timetable adjustments, heat maps for route planning, you'll know where to park, the notification of upcoming events, entry passes, check-in systems. That's great. Until suspect number 3, the Johnny came lately, came into our lives. Now, this is where some people were worried, but we've had epidemics before. The Spanish flu in 1918, but it was bad. The airline industry was grounded, all doom and gloom earlier in the year. But as our great co-hosts say, we're learning to adapt. We all know the well-used slogan of that credit card, American Express, don't leave home without it. Now, the latest update of that phrase is, if I can just reach back here, is travel with confidence from Qatar Airlines. They gave me this, but you don't leave home without it. You've got your mask, if you need your gloves, definitely got your hand sanitizer. So this is modern hotelieri. It now becomes a matter of trust. Do you trust the hotel or the hospitality provider that you're going to? Hotel security has been surpassed by health concerns. Airports, train stations that closed have to remain open. They have to adapt. Adaptation means doing things differently. Where we sit, how we order. What's the new operational norm for the hotels? Whatever it is, they've got to be here for some time, I think, mate. Timed pool slots, no buffets, mandatory masks. If you look at some of the influence from China and Asia, robots replacing staff, no minibars. In fact, the minibar kind of been misplaced. This is a minibar in the City Hotel in Hong Kong that one of my friends took a photo of. I mean, that's what we're looking at. So in the hospitality industry, health is at the front of our primary needs. It's the #1 priority now. We need, if I'm a traveler, to have international health certification that accompanies my passport. When I traveled, or my wife joined me recently, she had to have a certificate that said she'd taken the test 72 hours before. But now we've got rapid testing coming in, proof of vaccination. But trust must be built with the customer about daily health. Now, if we look at Jack Ma, Alibaba, and the Fly Zoo hotels, well, management are now less hands-on and far more hands-off. Now, Jack Ma, through Alibaba, launched the Fly Zoo Hotel in Hangzhou. It opened in 2019. It's less high touch and far more high tech. More sensors, facial recognition, check-ins are now biometric. It really is, you know, 1 or 2 people managing a hotel. And we think this is what people will want down the line. For those of us that need to get around, as for flying, well, we all need to become like Naomi Campbell. The question is, are you fit to fly? That's Naomi on the screen there. In Australia, Alenium has developed self-service technology that can check your temperature, heart rate, all from 1.5 meters away. All this is minimizing the virus transmission. So, embrace the change. Are you ready to fly? High security fashion from Naomi Campbell. They call this hazmat chic or hazardous material chic. If we look at Philippines airline, this is what the servers are wearing right now. That's a picture of how my wife came over last week on Qatar Airlines from Australia, all dressed up like that. And now we also see that robots are coming into the system again. If you could just advance that slide, Simon. That's a staff induction coming up in the next couple of weeks. So in order to finish off, hospitality is not dead. It's just different for the moment. The traditional mindset must be pushed away. Technology must be embraced like never before. Health and safety and trust must be in the forefront. The VIP guests can travel again, but individual proof of safety must be there. Customers will pick your hotel based on the trust that you're hygienic and you're low contact. And of course, there's hope next year, in 2021. Stay safe, the vaccine is coming, and hospitality is not dead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dominic, for that. Really, thank you so much. You kept me safe on my career choice there. So we have a few questions coming in. Inola, would you like to take the first question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So one of the first question is, will there be a high turnover rate due to the implementation of technology in new hospitality trends?
Will there be a high turnover rate? It really depends where you're going. I mean, will the new normal take us back to where we were 12 months ago? Probably not. I think it'll take some time to get there. So it's just going to be different. If you look at here today at SHMS, we're putting on this, what would be a large human event. We'd all be crowded in together. The speakers are staged clapping. But however, we've got to interact like this moving forward. And our students today are learning new skills. It's just different skills. Will there be turnover? There'll be turnover into different positions, but for a lot of the people that embrace the technology, there will also be other avenues. This is why we're so proud to be with Bidroom and companies like that that have thought outside of the box.
Thank you very much.
Amazing. So now for the second question we have for you from the chat is, do you think the recovery process from COVID-19 pandemic is going to be challenging for the hospitality industry?
It's been challenging. The early days I thought were quite tough. But as you can see with what Jack Ma's doing and people like that, this low contact, hygiene approach is coming in. We might find also that some people like that, you know.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all your answers anyways. To be honest, I really do feel safer in my career choice right now. You've set out the future for us.
No, you should be. Things are changing. It's been a long year. We just need to bunker down and get into the future, because hospitality is not dead.